Hey everybody, another video. Trying to be quick here. The point is what is the point of exercise? Okay, that's what I thought I'd just cover real quickly today. Not in massive detail. Try and give you really a list. And the more I did this list, I kept thinking of new and extra things all the time. Essentially, people have no idea of the value of exercise. They really don't. It's been shocking me actually, as I've covered it a little bit over Christmas as I did a bit of reading. I just noticed how all sorts of doctors, all sorts of professors that are talking about health have no idea of the benefits. And I wondered how much you know. You can test yourselves, and because I'm passionate about it and studied it, exercise physiology and all sorts of topics all related to it, I see how people go blank when they think essentially exercise is just calories, isn't it? It's way more than that. It's way more than that. Okay, so I thought I'd just give a quick list to give you some idea of how very quickly you can come up with things that exercise specifically does that other things can't do or don't do as well as. Because we go on and on and on about food, because for the whole of human existence, food's been the problem. Exercise has not been the problem because you had to exercise all the time. It's movement. Movement is really what I'll focus on because I feel the word exercise has been ruined. But also exercise implies bigger movements than just movement itself, I feel. But that's a whole other topic. So I just wanted to go into a list of things that can help you understand why exercising, moving, is actually really good for you and why it's all over my site. Everything, so much of what I do is about getting you out and moving, because you don't just want to move in one way. You don't just run. You have then the problems of only running. You need the variety, okay? So what it can do for you, tons of things. Go to my notes. I want to do this better later on when I'm all set up for this, but I just thought I'd just throw a few things together now. Really as if we were just sitting there chatting in a pub or a cafe or something like that, having a quick chat. So I came up with a list of 14 things, and I can go on for way more. So we'll start with... it actually improves your lungs. And where did I start on that? I don't know. I'd already done some tests, some practice for this before. But so I did it a different order before. But on this one, lungs, first thing is, well, actually when you train, it's like when you do biking or anything like that, or even going up a hill, you can hear people when they aren't fit because you can hear that they're breathing too fast. They're not breathing right. And what it is that, say you struggle with your lungs, people with emphysema, asthma, COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Okay, all it means is that with exercise, you're putting a challenge specifically through your body, but this is where it comes to the lungs. And when we covered that, they're talking about gaseous exchange. So I'm not going to go into the major detail, but basically your lungs are built the reverse of a tree. They look like a tree inside, kind of thing. And it's all about getting tiny little alveoli, tiny little packets of air, really. But it's balloons and stuff. It's little airs. And and they are 1 cell thick. They have a tiny, they're very close to the air. So you've got blood that's very close to the air. So gaseous exchange across there is really quick and easy, which means oxygen and carbon dioxide getting between the two, going where they need to go. So obviously you take on oxygen, you get rid of your gas, your carbon dioxide. So that's one key part of it. It's all the way through with the lungs. They'll get better at actually transferring the gas across, which means they'll get more capillaries. The linings of the lungs will be better at getting things in and out. There's all sorts of details. But anyway, it improves your lungs. Any situation where you struggle to breathe, well, it will improve that because your body will get better at, first off, getting the gas out. So you don't need to take as many breaths to get the same oxygen out of the air and carbon dioxide back out into the environment. So you'll... you can see I'm thinking too hard, making it too hard. Basically improves the way gas goes between you and the outside. It's brilliant, okay? So circulatory system, it really improves it because it requires it. It gets all your nutrients, so all this gas we were talking about and all the other nutrients that you use on a daily basis, and also to get exercise done, they're transported generally through the circulatory system. And so it actually has all sorts of mechanisms to get more nutrients around. See, I'm just waffling because I want to say too much. I'm trying too hard, okay? Because there's so much, actually. We had lectures on just what happens when you start to exercise, what happens in the circulatory system? It's really complicated. This is where I could list hundreds of things. Basically, it improves your circulatory system. It makes your circulatory tissues, so your alveoli, well, sorry, that's the lungs, your arteries, the capillaries, the arterioles, the venules, the veins, all these things. This is anatomy and physiology you get into. All these basic tubes that go through you, they can expand and they can contract appropriately. They're looser. Once they're basically, they're as good as when you're kids. It keeps them young. Okay, so you also have muscles in there that make sure that, first off, that blood might be pushed through further, but particularly that blood goes and doesn't go the wrong way. All sorts of things happen. So yeah, that's a whole topic in itself. But basically, they become more elastic. You get better blood flow, and you have more efficient gas transfer. Yeah, but I put a few notes because I need to, because it keeps me on target. So bones, they get strengthened. Bones need this. They need the movement because muscles pull on bone. Okay, so nerves trigger muscles which then pull on bone through your connective tissue. Every single part of that gets stronger, gets better. Strength I will always use as a generic term for flexibility, mobility, any term that just makes you better, because stronger is a generic term. That's how I'd use it. But you need that. Okay, so what it is when, for example, when you're older, it keeps you young. So that's the thing. It's an anti-aging thing. That's like another thing that is, which is it's a bit lower down on my list here, but it's anti-aging because when you get older, and particularly what it is when you don't move much, what you'll find is you will have lost the strength, so that if you might have fallen, then you're more likely to fall. And if you want to break your fall, you won't be as strong to do so because you haven't moved much. And when you move a lot, not only are you better at not falling over, if you do fall over, you will have developed, you're more likely to have developed the strength to protect yourself from the fall. So if you catch yourself, it's weird to think about it, but you're actually catching yourself if you fall, okay? If you are more active, you will find that you'll do a better job. Okay, but this also leads into why you need variety of movement, because things like football and other situations where you might fall over, it becomes like a normal thing in football. Ever so often you will fall over. Well, because you do that, you actually do it better. And there are also other movements that help develop the ability to, basically with your arms, all that, use that on the floor. So even DIY and other things actually improves. Already, you see, there's lots I want to say, which shows you there's exercise does so much for your body, and I'm trying very hard to keep ordered about this, because if you've seen my other videos I have, I go off on whatever is in my mind at the moment, and that's great for me, but it's not great for teaching. Okay, so essentially we've got next thing is energy. Okay, so yeah, I use it all the time. I realized years ago, if I want to age well, if I want to have a nice healthy life and all those kind of things, essentially, how do you do the things you know you need to do, which you know you need to move more? Okay, if you don't, then you do need to move more, because all our ancestors moved way more than we do now, and all of the problems we come from the fact that we don't move enough. If you move enough, you can eat what you want. That's actually the strategy I've gone down. I can eat what I want because I move enough. Because, okay, it's a list like this. The things exercise does for you, it's more than any pill you'll ever take. It's more than anything you ever do. It is fundamental, and it is as fundamental as nutrition. Katie Bowman has entire books, ranges on that. Loads of people do. And over time, I'll start introducing you to a lot of those books, and you'll start to realise, blimey, it's really important. So yeah, I use it because I have a sit-down job. Okay, loads of us are in situations where you come home from work, from school, and you're like, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I can't be bothered. And so you sit down and you just watch TV, you just chill, and you just natter or whatever it is. I did that for years. We all do. Okay, and then I realised, yeah, that's killing me. That's because what it is once I sit on the sofa, I don't have the energy to get back up. I don't get up. I barely do. You just don't feel like it. What I found is that if I get home, essentially, all I've done all day is sit on my butt, coding away. I might do a few walks. Because I realised how valuable exercise is, I made sure I walked. And I realised that once I moved, then all the problems that I had went away in terms of back pain and in terms of sore knees and things like this. They all start to sort themselves out. But that's a whole other topic. But just sitting at work and then, I have a short walk and then get in the car. Either way, either I'm in the car and I get to work or whatever. And then the same as at home, I sat down while I have food. I started to realize how much I sit down, and I bet you're the same, because pretty much everyone is the same. And I listen to people and thinking, yeah, we don't realize how much we sit down all day. And sitting down is the least energetic part of your life. It's incredible how little energy you use. But also, again, when you see this list, the number of things that are not being challenged, not basically your body needs the signals to say, do I need to maintain this ability? And if you don't move, then there's all sorts of things in your entire body, like your lungs, the quality of your lungs, they degrade just because it doesn't need to have good lungs. Your ability, your balance, your coordination, we'll get into these things. So, yeah, what I found, I just want to make this point if I get good at saying this, that's why I'm trying to do lots of videos, because I just need to get better at saying it, don't I? Okay. What I do when I get home is I specifically don't sit down all the time now. I've got into such a habit, it's really worked for me. And particularly now we work from home, it's like, it's even easier, isn't it, just to sit there and do nothing. But I have a sit down job. Lots of people do. Or if it's only standing or something like this. So I make sure I move regularly throughout the day. I've just built the habits over the years, because from this list, you'll start to see why you need to move, because it does so much. So when you're sitting down, you're not getting those benefits. And when you're sitting down, your body is only used to one shape, which is the sitting shape. And that's an overdose of that shape, which is where all the problems come from. Specifically, only sitting there, it doesn't really help your back at all, because it's all one shape. You need different shapes for your back so that the muscles can work differently for your back. Your bones will get weaker because they aren't taking any of the load. Basically, there's a whole list of things that are not happening properly. And I found that, well, yeah, I had no energy. So if you want to get your energy back, I found that, well, a gentle walk or poodle about, you might just tidy things up or something, do the dishes, whatever it is, or start on the dinner and stuff. But, it's because I do that all the time. But I move when I'm making food and things like that. So if you get up and move, you'll find your energy comes back. And I find within 5 minutes of doing that, 5-10 minutes, I've got all my energy back. So that's the key point, is that when you come home and you think you have no energy, it's the same from long drives and stuff like that. You've got when you're traveling, you've got a place. If you want your energy back, the amount of times I have got my energy back purely by getting off my butt and moving around. And then all of a sudden I realised I've got plenty of energy. And once I did that, because realising that I needed to do it, over time I started to notice all the benefits I'm told about I get. So my life is better because I have better habits again. So this is the healing benefits of exercise, and it gives me more energy. And you realise that the energy's there, you just weren't using it. You were just sitting down, and you start to think you have no energy. That's because you were sitting down all the time. It's not to say don't sit down. Okay, but I'll go on. You can see I will. So let's move on. So the next thing is the best anti-aging thing you can imagine, because I see lots of people talking about anti-aging. What's an anti-aging cream? Now, I'm a guy, I don't really care, but I would like to get to my 80s and my 90s and things, and just not be as old as, or I want to get there well. So basically, I've had the privilege of seeing people start working at gyms. I saw people that were, say, 80, and you said, what are you doing this week? Or, what do you think you're doing this year? And they go, oh, we're off skiing. Awesome, they're 80. Now, 20 years ago, people didn't realise 80 would be the new 60 and stuff. It will just, people get on more. So I was used to people thinking, oh my God, you're 80, there's nothing you can do. Now people expect to be able to do things. And the news is, you can do even more. You can still carry on to the 90s and the 100s, as long as it really is a use it and a lose it thing. But it's also not, you don't have to run marathons to do it. I find that people don't realise when you push your body too hard, that causes these issues. Just like with a car or anything else, if you push it too hard, it's going to start wearing it down. Going in the middle of your range is actually great. And what I like to do is if you're so regularly active and you do all sorts of different types of activity, then you expand your abilities. And in general, if you work, that means you work within your abilities, well within your abilities, then you're doing essentially motorway miles, which is a term I use. It's a common one I'm used to hearing about, which is it's all easy stuff. You're not going through towns and lots of bumps, and speed bumps and all this kind of stuff, and lots of stop-starts. You're just pootling along, and on this really comfy road that's built for it. It's not going up and down all sorts of hills and stressing the engine. It's just going, and it's easy. And regularly getting movement in your life makes your body so used to it, it doesn't challenge at any point. It's like, this is fine. But the demand you're putting it through says, well, yeah, I need these cells, all these different parts of the cell I need. So your body says, not a problem, and it maintains them. That's really what you're trying to do, because the maintenance of it is homeostasis, technical terms, but I want you to start appreciating them. I don't expect you to learn loads, but you may be a beginner in this, you may be quite advanced, but understanding you're directly working on your biology, your physiology by moving. There are very few things that you'll ever do that have such a profound effect on you as moving, and moving well. And you'll care about this because the people older than you that you love, your parents, your uncles and aunts and things like that, you'll want to start getting them moving, because if they fall, you'll wish they had been able to move before that. They may not have fallen, or if they did fall, they may not have broken something, because unfortunately people when they're older often are likely to fall. Their bones are weak because they aren't doing these things over time, and if they break something, it's quite serious. So that's for the older ones. For the younger ones, again, the more they move, what it is that kids now are growing up far less healthy than we used to be physiologically, because they haven't built their bones up, their muscles up, their lungs up, all sorts of things. Okay, so it's actually quite serious. So as an anti-aging thing, yeah, it keeps you young in your prime of life. Okay, and the benefits don't end; they don't stop. People will tell you, no, they don't stop. As long as you keep using it, do it well, they'll carry on to literally to your end. So next one is it moves nutrients around the body. People don't realize that, okay? But pretty much all nutrients are delivered through the body, excuse me, through your blood. So exercise itself, particularly when you're doing the intense stuff, but there are lots of kinds of intense stuff. There's lifting heavy weights. Now that's DIY, yeah. People will go, oh, it's got to be in a gym. No, it isn't. It's taking bits of timber around, or picking up sacks of sand or something like that, doing your garden, fixing the stuff. That's the thing people normally do. Working on your car. I know some guys who pick up their ton of car. They've got the chains and stuff. They're used to doing it. That's actually quite a natural thing that we're all used to doing, making our homes and things like this. Which is DIY and whatever. So I'm giving you examples that you didn't think about, but they're just as valid. The gym isn't that relevant. It's actually moving around in a regular day. What happens is that then your body's designed to get nutrients as well as heat and lots of other things through your circulatory system around the body, delivered, and then the fact of movement also gets it to move around. So you'll always be told, if you get any decent exercise coach, so a gym or something like that, you can ask them. They'll tell you very clearly things like your calves, so gastrocnemius, soleus, and things like that. They will squeeze the veins that are down there, because the arteries have the power to push things, but once it gets there, coming back, the veins have no power, which is why they have little flaps inside that will stop the blood going backwards, because it's important they do that. But muscles help this along and also stop a lot of the clots that might happen, because blood will clot if it's left in a place too long. So when you move, it just keeps the natural flow, makes it easy for all these nutrients to get around, because you're moving. So constant movement. So it's the same with your arms, because your design is actually quite similar from your arms to your legs. They're actually designed to do basically the same thing. It's just that we stand up, so our ankles are wedged kind of a bit different, but otherwise the function is the same. So when you move your arms, it's the same as moving your legs. It will push your blood back to your heart and help your heart, therefore reducing your blood pressure and all sorts. But the nutrients specifically getting around the body, it's an important part of getting them there. So just because you eat the right stuff doesn't mean it's actually making you healthier. You need other things, exercise particularly, and the regulatory process I talk about elsewhere, to make sure the nutrients you've given it are taken to the right place and also removed. That's profound too. So next one, it improves your balance, prevents falls. Okay, so we know when we're kids, when you're learning to walk, constantly falling over. Okay, it's fine, you're tiny. But as you get older, like I show my kids at my height, if I fall, it's profound. There's a lot of momentum, and it really hurts if I fall. So you need to, if you move regularly, you get stronger and better balance by default. People don't think about this. Every time you move your entire body, but particularly your mind and your nerves, are working together as a team. So if you see it, I've seen pictures every so often when they show they highlight what nerves are working and the signals going along the nerves. And it's profound because it's just relentless. There's all sorts going on when you move, just to keep you standing up. And you can see this when they're trying to build robots now, that the hardest thing is to get them to move normally. Everything else is easy. But to get them to move normally, you need an entire brain for that. It's incredibly hard to do. So doing regular movement improves your balance, but also the strength that goes with that. You need coordination. So you don't just need to know, your body just doesn't need to know what to pull. It needs to know exactly when and how, the amount to pull stuff. And that actually requires training of the nerves. It doesn't just happen. So again, after you injure yourself, say you sprain your ankle, you need to get back into training your balance again. I was really glad that a physiotherapist taught me about that, a very good one. A lot of them don't tell you all sorts of things. They don't really rehab you properly, but this guy was exceptional. And he told you specifically, you need to rehab your muscle balancing processes. So, and your reflexes so that it happens quickly. Anyway, that's something for another time. As you can imagine, there's a lot actually to say. You probably didn't realize how many things there are. So it improves your movement change. So that's really covering a lot of what I've said so far. Every single thing involved in movement will then create a demand, okay? And it will improve, like I say, when you sleep. The regulatory mechanism will, they'll take the nutrients and put them all around your body in the right places so that when you move next time, you'll do it better. So each time you move, you are telling your body, I need to be able to do this. And you may say, I need to do it better by pushing yourself nearer your limits. That's what happens all the time. Your body is so well designed. It knows if you push to a limit, it always once then develops itself a bit beyond whatever limit you put it to. But you don't always need to go directly to your limit. Your body doesn't need that. You can actually just carry on doing your things and it'll still improve your ability to do better than you were able to do before. But it is a regulatory signal. Actually, when you move, it's a signal saying, I need to do this. This is what I do regularly. And your body doesn't know all the other stuff that's going on in your brain. It just knows, oh, those cells were used this way. They need to be stronger. But that's trillions of cells across your body all being affected all at once. It's quite profound, the effect that movement has. So there's more. So it improves mobility and flexibility. They are specific things. You think, haven't I covered that? It's like, well, actually, you can go into and go, well, mobility is your ability to, flexibility is simply your ability to move in a certain shape and get length, extent. I would technically get this all correct, but it's ability to create the angles within joints and things like that. But mobility is very much where we've all gone, because flexibility says, well, move to a shape, but don't increase the strength. There's no concept of strength in that. Whereas if you did it in real life and anything, you wouldn't just increase the strength, say, of an ability of a door to open. You would make sure that the thing that stops it going too far, and swinging and maybe smashing a window or something like that, you make sure it's strong enough. Because sorry, you probably couldn't see that, but the angles, let's see what we've got here. If you've got angles here, it depends how I do it, but you'd get into it and you'd say, well, it needs to be strong enough. So I'm not really showing this very well. I'd want to show it in a better way. But if you've got something, say that's the boot going down, okay, the support structure to make sure the boot doesn't go too far needs to be strong enough. Okay, and you'll find this the same with doors when they open. Okay, if they go, you want them to go far, but not too far. So any situation, any structural engineer appreciate that it's all physics and you need to make sure it's strong enough. So mobility is about developing the strength with the movement and the coordination. So it's all the things I've already said. So it's just bringing it out and saying it's specifically you constantly improve your mobility. And that's about making you strong enough for any angles and shapes that you make, and also the particular speeds at which you make those shapes. Yeah, you see, it's all relevant. As you break it down, there's more and more and more to say. So it also gives you a better mood. Okay, so that's the next one. Because I told you when you get home, you get better energy. And I found the same. You can come home and you are in a stinker of a mood. I'll do this at work, like before a meeting or after a meeting or whatever. There's 10 situations. Go for a walk. Why? Self-care. Take care of myself. How to be the best employee I can be. Change my mood. Sometimes you're like, I need to be in a good mood for this. I can tell I'm not. Okay, sometimes that's why I'll go and I'll hit a ball over a net, play tennis at lunch. Why? Because it changed my mood. I come back, I'm a better employee. So it's the same for when you're at home. You're having a bad day, go and play. This is where being a parent is playing with your kids. The reason it can help you so much. That you've had a poo day. Yeah, you've had this one shocker of a day, and you come home and you're like, I don't want to swear at my kids. I don't want to be annoyed. So that was intense there. But you're human. You don't want to do that. So sometimes I'm like, kids, I've had a bad day. Can we play on the trampoline? Or it doesn't have to be that. Can we just play? Can we go and do this? Can we go and kick a ball around in the park? Whatever it is. It's an excuse to do it. And kids, train them, right? But they're your kids. It's like, well, take care of daddy. take care of mummy. It's like, you have rights to say, I'm a bit upset. Just like, it's exactly the same way if they're upset. You're like, we need to sort your mood, buddy. You're in a bad mood. Let's fix that. Yeah. You play with them, don't you? Okay. So it fixes your mood, and it's designed to do that. So moving around is social as well. It's a great way of being social. It's a great way of getting you to be able to be social, because the more you walk, the more you're capable of doing things. So you can walk to places, you can walk with people. You can just literally go for a walk with people. It's a nice thing to have walking meetings and whatever, but also getting to places where people are. It helps you be more social. So you think of all the stuff that you do that's fun around people. So I'll go to Wimbledon to watch some tennis there. My wife is just taking our boy to watch West Ham. The FA Cup. She never used to walk. Now, because she's going to watch football, she's on a whole watching spree this year. She's got a season ticket and everything. She's walking more than she's ever walked in her life because she wants to. She's literally doing the epitome of what I say, is that if you pick things you love, then you'll keep doing them. And that's why myself is very much about find ways to enjoy doing the things that you need to do for your health, because we all know that we need to do them. And I'm showing you why the exercise is the thing people have no idea about. They do understand about nutrition. And yeah, I'm kind of still going on. I know I would. 26 minutes. Still got a few things. So you could argue I should do this faster. That's fair enough. Give me that feedback if I need it. But equally, people just don't realize how much there is, in exercise. And this, I studied the thing. There's entire topics of exercise physiology. And I want people to realize how profound it is for every single cell in your body. For example, GLUT4 is affected by exercise. And GLUT4 is a transporter. It transports glucose. Okay, its name is glucose transporter 4. So there are 3 other kinds. Don't need to know much about them, because I look into these things over time. There's the same for free fatty acids. So in terms of lipid metabolism, in terms of your normal metabolism, which is energy getting around the body, so obesity, diabetes, insulin resistance, they're all affected by this for obvious reasons. Because we don't move anymore, we don't really create a demand for energy through our body, which means we don't train these things like the glucose transporters. And I've got things on my site that go into major detail because of what I was taught, how when you exercise, it gets your body to use energy properly, and that has profound effects on every single cell in your body. So the reason I say this is GLUT4 is on 2/3 of the cells of your entire body. Now, could you name me other things that have that's part of every single cell? There are things. And if you know stuff, brilliant, because that means you know about cells. That's fantastic. What I find is people just don't have a clue. Doctors don't realize this because it's not part of their training. And I want it to be. So I want to make it easier. I want to bring people up, not to necessarily my level of knowledge here, but it's like to help you realize this is actually pretty obvious and straightforward. If you move more, you're going to use the energy that you eat. You're going to give it a place to be and get your body to use it properly. And that is going to stop all the illnesses that we now have. They call them non-communicable diseases. Medicine will make it as complicated a name as you can possibly imagine. That's normal. That's all academics do that. Okay, but this is all that's really happening. We don't move. Because we don't move, we have the problems we have now. And we don't sleep well enough, but then we always have the same problems with that. It's the movement we've really stopped doing. Okay? So I'm giving you reasons to do that. I'm helping you appreciate just how profound it actually is. So if I didn't say it clear enough, exercise affects 2/3 of your entire body, every cell in your body, and it gets them to use glucose better through glucose transporter 4. And if training that protects you against diabetes, it helps you against insulin resistance and obesity, because it's getting the energy to go from your fat cells, be metabolized and then released, because obesity is really a problem of fat being stored when it should be used. And what's happening is your body is not got the ability to use the energy, so it stores it because it doesn't know how to use it properly. That's kind of obvious when you think about it. If we don't move much, there's no need for that energy to be used. But everyone thinks, oh, it's just calories. Well, in this list, I've given you some ways, but I'll go more specific. Okay, so this is getting more into the direct thing here, because it's directing energy and nutrient use. It burns calories. We know about that, but that's actually the minimal part of what it does. It's not specifically how many calories you burn at that time. What it does is it forces your body to actually develop its ability to get energy used properly under pressure. So that ability is then developed for anything you ever want to do. So as your body gets fitter, what you find is everything else gets easier. So what you see is so many people are unfit. They think they've done lots of work because it feels like lots of work because they're unfit, but it's not. Whereas someone like me who moves a lot, I can get tons of calories. I can get 1,000 calories easily because I'll just walk all day if I need to. And I can run, I can move, and I can do all sorts. So I can suddenly access more energy than anyone who's unfit. That's all that's really happening, but I can do it through like any day I want, any time I want, and this compounds because I'm doing it on a regular basis. I'll give an example that becomes obvious. When athletes stop being athletes, it's not so bad now, but it used to be a major problem. I think it probably is a problem. You'd see them balloon; they would suddenly become obese. There are a famous one is Maradona, and there's another one, I think, Ronaldo, I think he got really big as well. And it's a standard thing for athletes because they used to be able to eat 9 or 10,000 calories a day or 8,000 calories a day. And that's because they can, because their body needs it. And literally, you can imagine if you're doing that, you're eating 3 times as much as anyone else. You know, you've got a massive calorie load. Well, when you stop eating as much as you do, when you stop moving as much as you do, but you're still used to eating as much, well, you balloon. And your body's built for this. It's fattening up for winter. Well, that's all that's happened is you stop moving. That's how profound it can be. And I use this all the time because I know that it's not just the calories that we've measured, because I know there are so many things that we aren't measuring that exercise does, and we're only just getting the tools to be able to measure it. But also exercise physiology does not get the support and research that everything else gets. So you start getting people now realizing there are so many aspects to this energy flow. For example, if you lose energy as heat, then that was still energy. And physics will tell you, well, that's come from somewhere, but we don't measure that. And when we studied calories in, calories out, we did not measure the heat, and we didn't measure how much heat loss that would affect. And then look at it over time. No one even mentioned it through, they probably did, but you'll find so many things that don't really get covered because there's only so much to do because people don't value exercise. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to mention that because now I've said it. I've been wanting to say this for so long. There's another key part as well that just I noticed has not been covered, is that it's the direction of your nutrients, because your energy systems, so your energy, your fat, your proteins and your carbohydrates are not just energy. That's one part of what they are, but they're just like the way we use wood. Okay, you think you can make a shelf from wood, you can also burn it. Okay, you can make a house from wood, you can make paper from wood. Well, energy like this, the carbs, the fats, the proteins are exactly like that in your body. So again, we never measured any of this, and I've noticed nobody seems to measure it, which for me is just fundamentally bad. We should be doing these things. You don't just eat your food and burn it. No, you use it as structure. And when you exercise, when you move, you specifically get so many of the cells. They will then use those nutrients as structure. There will be structural nutrients. Okay, so that means that your lipid bilayer, so that the membranes around every single cell, because you're an animal. Okay, so you're not a tree. It's important because they also have cellulose, they're an extra cell wall. But your lipid bilayer will, if you create new cells, you need more fat for those cells. You need more water. You'll need carbohydrates because there's all sorts of fibers that run through the cell. They hold the cell together. All sorts of things. And DNA itself is a whole load of carbohydrates stuck together. So, and proteins are all the way through the cell. If the cell wants to do anything, it needs enzymes, which come from proteins, and amino acids. All these things are used. So every time you turn over a cell, you need lots and lots of nutrients. None of that is really considered. So while you'll have normal metabolism that does that, exercise is creating a demand for new cells. They don't add that in to the calculation. But can you see? Even without, I'm not going to go and do the maths here. I want to go and do that some other time, because you can see I can talk about this quite a bit. But you'll never get this in the gym. No one will ever ask. No one even realizes. The entire industry never mentions this. Yet it's profoundly obvious that you're saying, I want more cells, which means you're going to create more muscle cells, your nerves will grow. All sorts of things are even maintained, okay? And the maintenance of the cell, replacing a cell, is still taking nutrients and moving them away, moving them out of the body as well as taking them in. So it directs all that stuff. When you don't move, you don't have this need for anything. So all of a sudden you've got all this nutrition, it doesn't go anywhere. So that might give you some idea how I can eat more than other people. Yet because I move, they're the ones who put the weight on. And because I knew this, now you might be a bit jealous. I can literally eat what I want. And my wife is like, how can you eat that? And I'm still in the same clothes I've had for decades. Yeah, she's so jealous because, of course, she buys them because I'm a colorblind engineer. I'm not good at clothes, so it's like she knows, and it's like, oh, and that, I'm tired of not being able to talk to people about this because they think I'm patronising. It's like, no, I've spent the time learning this because it goes over people's heads, because it would do, because I've hopefully kept this relatively straightforward and simple, and I've got to number 13. I can go on for ages. The stuff that exercise does for you is profound. Okay, so let's land this plane, as people say. This is the last one I've got here. It encourages the use of nutrients as structure components and building blocks. There, I said it. Okay, so that was different order. So that's just 14 things. And you say, well, but they're all the same thing. And I go, well, so it's eating food. It's all essentially the same thing, but you can break it down into all the things that does for you. But just because you eat food does not mean that all that nutrition goes to where it should do. And that is the fallacy. All this nutrition science, all of I find health science, they just don't realize it's all coordinated, and you need to see the whole and fully understand all that. So I'm obsessive on this, just like I know as everyone's obsessive in all the things they do. So this has been another long one. It was going to be a short one, but 36 minutes, there we go. So questions, please. I'm just lecturing at the moment. I appreciate that because I just need to get it out. I'm just going to use these things. Before I was faffing with my talking, but hopefully now, the point is I am teaching. If you want more, I will be putting courses together. I'm getting this out there, so there's stuff in YouTube to actually share, and I'll keep putting these things out, mainly because I'm not caring about rankings and stuff on YouTube. I want to stop people being in the pain they're currently in, and it's really easy because you just need to be more human. You need to act and live as humans are, and not worry about all this relentless must do a gym, must pay for this thing. Take that money, give it to me, and I'll show you how you can really have some fun. Okay, that's essentially the essence. I can be a gym instructor, but that's too easy. I want to do something where I can really get you living and thriving. Because fit to thrive means if you get fit, then you can thrive. And you'll be amazed how much you will thrive. And hopefully I've given you some examples of how you will thrive and really enjoy yourself way into your 90s. You should be looking forward to them going, oh, I'm going to go and do this today. I'm going to do that today. It's like, not a problem, So there's loads more we can say. But anyway, points in the comments. What did I confuse you on today? What would you like clarified? Is there anything? I know these should be shorter, so but I talked on that. I can probably get shorter on some things, but I'm doing this off the cuff because it takes me so long writing it down. It'll take even longer to write the damn thing. Now I've basically said what I meant to say, and it's out there, so I can move on and move to other areas, because you'll be shocked how many videos I can make. I've got hundreds that I'll be making, probably one a day for the entire year, and I still won't run out because I have ideas and ideas. So, and all it is to say, well, the stills behind me, this is the same picture I'm using just because I ain't got time to do every little thing. I'll get better at making it all prettier. But how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I make you and your family, the people you care about, healthier every single day? And that is just by using the healing processes that already exist within your body that you get for free. Okay, everything I do, I get for free. So I can spend my money on other things. Okay. So all these other people who have lots and lots of money, generally I find they're some of the unhealthiest people I meet, and they're going for a bad end. And unfortunately, they're going to spend most of their money on health, but not fixing it and improving it, but just literally on people trying to fix it. I can show you how to do it for a lot less money and channel that money into lots of great time. Okay. Yeah, that's for some other time. You can probably see there's a whole business there that I'll work into. But really, this is all I've ever wanted to do, is help people understand this, because I enjoy learning about it. And I'm enjoying having lots of excuses to play with my kids. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for listening if you ever got this far, because I don't know how many people will, but I'm going to keep linking to these things. Check out what I shared about supply and demand, the healing processes, the three things: regulation, supply and demand. That's a fundamental principle, really, that's in any healing process. You will find supply, demand, and regulation. No one ever puts it that way. Maybe there's been some I see, but to me, it's something I've noticed as I go through. It's always that. Okay, because that's what healing is. You need to trigger the three processes. And yeah, there's a bunch of videos that I'm putting out over time just to help you start healing, get the right habits that will help you heal, and then you will get the benefits. So give me examples, or let me know the kind of things you would like to learn about in this. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.